the internet.
Okay.
Live.
Sure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of CovIsporation with Dayo Israel. Today, as you know, and this week, we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. It's been 1 year of the Greater Lagos administration, and it's 1 year of a lot of new things in Lagos. New policies, new programs, and greater achievement for the administration. This period and up to the end of the month, we're examining the various policies and programs and the promises of Mr. Governor and presenting a scorecard and assessing the level of achievement of the new administration of the promise we made to Lagosian. I have with me in the studio today a brother, a friend, and someone who is very busy with the work of delivering the first item on the agenda of a Greater Lagos, which is transport and traffic management. Please welcome with me, guys, Dr. Frederick Oladehinde. Dr. Fred, it's good to have you in the studio, sir.
It's good to have you too. Good to be with you.
I know that this is a very busy period for you, so I'm delighted. I'm very grateful that you're able to join us today.
Thank you.
It's 1 year of this administration, and you are not just at the forefront of what is happening today. You were actually at the forefront of developing the policies, including the team agenda. Nights upon nights of looking at the transport master plan. I don't want to mention location here, but of drawing all of those agendas that we were saying that we were going to do when we get into government by the grace of God. When you got into the ministry, was it what you expected? What was the experience like? What is the experience like now? Was it what you expected, or it is way more than what you expected?
Well, let me just put it this way. It's way more than what I expected. Remember that when we developed the plan, we were in a controlled environment. So it's very easy to, sit down and formulate policies, etc. However, when you get into the real world, you have different stakeholders that you have to deal with. And it's pretty difficult. It's good to have a plan, but it's also good to have a strategy for implementing the plan. And, as the governor said, talking to people, gauging the expectation, knowing what they want, and then factoring that into the plan is the key to success. It's very important. I mean, it's important to know what the people want because you're actually doing this for the people. So the plan has not been derailed. The plan is going as planned. And I think there's a lot that is going on at the moment, which we would unfold in this program.
Absolutely. Honorable Commissioner, I am so excited when I saw a lot of things that was in the strategy before the election that was discussed and spoken about before the administration was birthed. For example, the Fort Mainland Bridge. Another one was the regional road and the coastal road. Remember the day when we had that big map on the wall and Mr. Governor was pointing out this road and that road. And it's so exciting to see that all of those promises, all of those plans are now coming into fruition. What are still, but despite that, and the political will to do something different, there are still challenges. What would you consider some of the greatest challenges of this last 1 year?
Okay, Mr. Dayo, let me start by looking at the challenges in transportation in Lagos for now. Remember that even during all those presentations that we were doing, we highlighted the fact that 97% of all our trips are done by road.
Yes.
And only 3% is shared between water transport, rail, and the rest of them that we have. Now, what is the greatest challenge that we have? Lagos State has a population of 22 million. There are about 86 people that come into Lagos every hour and do not go back. So every year we add close to 1 million people to our population. So even when you're doing something to cater for what you have right now, more people come and it seems like you're not doing anything. So it is, I think the greatest challenge is developing something that is sustainable. And that is why we're developing what we call a multimodal public transport system. And what do I mean by that? Basically, what we want to do is to give people options. We don't want people to be captive to the road alone. We want people to have options of using water transport. We want them to have the options of using rail. We want them to have the option of using BRT. So when you give people options, you can spread the trip in such a way that we move sustainably from one point to the other. Right now, everybody takes to the road, and everything is choked up in the morning, it's choked up in the evening. And that's one of the reasons why we're looking at some of the gridlocks, the roundabouts in Lagos, because some of the roundabouts in Lagos were developed about 30, 40 years ago. I mean, when the population was less than 5 million. Now we're over 20 million, and there's so many cars, and the roundabout that is supposed to be solving congestion is actually a stumbling block. So there's so many problems. I mean, the population explosion that we're experiencing in Lagos is just unprecedented. And no matter what you do, it will seem like you're not doing anything. And so you have to look at creative ways of developing your transport system, which is what this team's agenda is all about, which is what the Strategic Transport Master Plan is all about.
So what is the future? Paint us a future of, I have an idea, so I'm not asking for myself. What is the future of transportation in Lagos? What is your field? What is your vision? And what is the vision of His Excellency for transportation in Lagos? So what are we moving towards? We understand where we are as a challenge, but what would you say is the big picture that we hope to achieve in the next 4 years?
Well, okay, we have a plan for the next 20 years, and then I'll then break it down into the first 4 years. So in the next 2 decades, the plan is to develop a multimodal public transport that is integrated, that will make Lagos a great city. Remember that transportation is the engine of any economy. And if the transportation is weak, then your economy will struggle. So what are we hoping to build? With the over 20 million people that we have, we're planning to develop 7 rail lines. We're planning to develop 13 BRT lines. We're planning to develop more strategic roads, especially the ring road, that will take pressure off inner Lagos. We're planning to expand the waterways, and then we want to integrate them. Integration is the key to everything that we do. So you can build your rail, you can build BRT, but if you don't integrate them, people will not use them. And when we talk about integration, there are 5 key points that we need to look at in terms of integration. So first of all, we're trying to develop a common ticketing system. So with one ticket, you can move from one mode to another. Okay, so rather than paying for each mode that you take, so with one ticket, you can move across Lagos. That makes traveling as simple as possible. Okay, the second one is the timetable. Yeah, like your Oyster card in London.
London with a travel card, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a travel card, you can load it up for a week, you can load it up for a month or for a year, depending on what you want to do. But as long as you have that card, you can move seamlessly from one point to the other. The second one is the timetabling integration. So the ability to move from maybe rail to BRT depends on the waiting time when you get to that station. So you don't want a situation where you want to travel from A to B, but you've got to get to C in between before you get to B. And then when you get to C, you've got to wait 45 minutes to an hour before you connect. The maximum time we want to be able to do is 5 minutes. So all the timetables of the various modes of transport have to be integrated in such a way that people do not waste much time waiting for the next mode of transport. The other one is the information integration. So you want to be able to plan your journey from home, and so the information coming out from various modes of transport has to be standardized so that you can plan your journey. So for example, I want to move, maybe I want to go from Oshodi to Yaba. I've got to connect, I've got to use rail, I've got to use the bus. So I want to know when the rail will get to my station, and then when I connect on the other side, when will the bus get there, so that I can plan the whole thing before I set out. And that is very important. The next one is location integration, and I think this is a very important one.
Location integration.
Location integration. So every community must be within 500 meters of a station. The station could be a rail station, it could be a BLT station, it could be a bus station, it could be a water transport station. However, you must not be cut off from the transportation system. And when you have that kind of integration, everybody has a chance of participating in any form of economic activity. So we are trying to to connect every community in such a way that you see all the great jobs don't need to go to Victoria Island or Ikeja. We will spread them around as long as transportation can take you there. And that is what employers look at before they set up where they want to do business. They look at ease of getting there. They look at the transport network, etc. And that is very important. And the last one is what I would call land use transportation integration. Land use transportation integration. And when you look at what is happening in Lekki, you'll notice that Lekki only has one major road. And that is why we're doing the regional road, and then we want to do the coastal road. So if you have a huge community and you only have one road connecting it, and that road, you have so many industries planned around it, it's only a matter of time before it clogs up. However, when you expand that and then you encourage employers to co-locate on different corridors so that they co-locate around the station. So when you get off the station, you can walk. Maybe it takes about 5 minutes to walk to your final destination, etc. So we make it easy for people to get a job. We make it easy for people to move from one point to the other without using their cars. The idea is to drop your cars and to use it when it's absolutely necessary to use cars. But public transport is the way to go. It is the only sustainable way of moving 22 to 30 million people in Lagos, where the density is quite high, and that's what we're planning.
Honorable Commissioner, these ideas are fantastic and awesome. But where is the land? Lagos is already choked up. Where are you going to get the land for the bus stations, the garage? The roads are not wide enough in some area. What are you doing around this?
That's why we're working with the Ministry of Physical Planning. So for every community, there must be a plan. There is what you call a model city plan. And in that model city plan, you dedicate certain space to your road infrastructure. So by working with Ministry of Physical Planning, they give us the right of way where the roads will be, where the communities will be. So basically where employment will be, where the residential areas will be, where other recreation areas will be. So there's always a plan. And the most important thing is to work with the land use planners to ensure that we are able to create the space for road, for the transport network. Now, let me just say to you that we've had the model city plan for the last 20, 30 years, and we have space for road, we have space for public transport. What has simply happened is that people have abused that plan. They've encroached on the area. In the areas where we're supposed to build, develop our transport network. So what we're simply doing is relocating those people and then reclaiming where the road should be, where public transport should be. So all these have been planned. It's just a matter of sticking to the model city plan.
Honorable Commissioner, before we go to the achievements and the good news, I just wanted to pick on a few things so that Lagosians can appreciate the effort that is being made. How the COVID has affected financing, IGR, and revenue a lot. How is that going to affect your plan and your vision?
Well, the good news is that we've always known that government would not be able to finance the strategic transport master plan alone. We need the private sector to participate. So we are developing our PPP strategy, the policy, and creating an environment for the private sector to do business. So we are always going to do business with the private sector, encourage them to do more, to invest more in transportation. So this is even the best time for them to come in because government revenue is dwindling. And when you look at, historically, when you look at the revenue or the amount of money in Lagos State, 80% of that revenue resides with the private sector and 20% resides with the public sector. So the private sector has to be brought in to participate in the development of infrastructure.
Water transportation is another bright and good success of the. Maybe before I go into that, what would you consider your top 5 achievement in particular for the administration in the last 1 year?
Okay, the first one is the fact that we have started taking out the roundabouts. Traffic management is improving because we've looked at the areas, the roundabout that no longer serve their purpose, and we've started taking them out. A good example is Allen Avenue, the roundabouts at Lekki, and then Ikoton. So that's number one. We're beginning to increase the capacity of traffic management. The second one is the fact that we started filling the potholes. You will see that there's a lot of routine maintenance going on, and so travel time is improving across the state, which is very good. The third one is the fact that we've ramped up our effort to actually develop mass transit. And what do I mean by that? So the Blue Line is ongoing. We're about to complete the Blue Line. That's the fixed infrastructure, and then we're already engaging a consultant for the operations and maintenance. And we not only have we progressed a lot with the Blue Line, we've actually started the Red Line. The Red Line, which goes from Agbado all the way to Marina, and the first phase will be from Agbado to Uyingbo, which will be completed in the next 2 years. We're ramping that up, so that's been a success for the government. Another one that we have done is to mop up, to create the finance to develop the regional road. The regional road would help Lekki in particular to decongest that area. And then the last one is the fact that we're going cashless with our toll system. So the tolling, the toll booth used to be a congestion point, but we are now beginning to decongest that. And by the time we ramp up the technology on the other toll system in Lekki, we'll go cashless, and then people can move seamlessly through the toll booths. But there are a lot of things that we're doing. But the BRT also the third BRT is about to be commissioned. That's the one from Oshodi to Abule Egba, so that's ongoing, and we should finish that in the next couple of months.
One of the other achievements you haven't talked about is, for example, Lag Ferry and water transportation. What is the process of that? What is the progress in that area? And are you really getting value for that investment?
Yes, I think you're right. You said I should mention 5. You should have said 10. But
okay,
yes, we've ramped up.
Let's increase that to 10.
No, let's talk about water now. So we have increased the ridership in water transportation. The government invested in 8 additional boats. I remember they bought 6 initially, and then they bought another 8, which increased the number to 14. And then we're about to procure another 14 to increase it to 28. So government is getting a skin in the game, and we're increasing our investment in water transport, and that is encouraging a lot of private individuals to come in, the private sector to come in and invest in water transport. So very soon, water transport is, it's going to be developed to a point where the market share of water transport will increase to about 10%. Right now, it's less than 1%, but we're trying to get it to 10%. So at the moment, we're doing about 2% because that has increased a bit, and then over time, we'll ramp it up to 10%. So there's a lot of activities going on our water transport, which is good news. And the key to, to succeeding in water transport is to make sure that water transport is integrated with our bus system, so that when you get off at the other end of your journey, there is a journey. I mean, there is a mode to take you to your last mile. So that's very important. Now, one thing I also want to mention, which I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure whether you're aware of, is the fact that why we have suspended the activities of Okada, and then we've
I
restricted
was coming there.
Oh, good. And we've restricted the activities of Keke Napep to some areas. We are beginning to develop the last mile network. And what do I mean by that? So the area, I mean, the last mile is the last leg of your journey to your home or close to your home. So we have developed a policy, and operators have started applying to Lamata, because Lamata is spearheading that project, where we have different operators that would now pick up the last mile. So we don't, I mean, Okada had never been part of our master plan. Keke Napep had never been part of our master plan. So we want to give people a decent mode of transport to complete their their journey.
This is an area that I've received a lot of questions from people, and I'm getting live questions from viewers. But viewers, I will come back to your question. Let me just run through the ones who have been present to me earlier. During the lockdown, the road was better. Now, post lockdown, even with the partial lockdown, the traffic has been horrendous. And there is fear that as soon as everything gets back to normal, the traffic, what is already put in place to, what are you doing on the long term? Now, I'm aware of many of these things, but as you know that this is about the people who are watching, what are you doing in ensuring that on the long term, our roads can be free of traffic, aside from the multimodal transportation system process that is being put in place?
That's a very good question. Now, let me start from the statement of the governor, and let me tell you how we plan to ease congestion. Remember that on the 4th of May, the governor said that we were going to do a partial easing of the lockdown. And what do we mean by that? We don't want everybody to come out at the same time. In fact, if you don't have to be on the road, don't be on the road. I mean, don't come out. And that's why when you look at the civil service, grade level 1 to 14 have been asked to stay at home, so that we can reduce the amount of people that are on the road. Now, what is going on right now is that we're trying to rush all our projects. So all the roundabouts are at the point of being completed. When you go to Oshodi Apapa, High Tech is doing a lot of work. You know that, I mean, we're moving from asphalt to rigid pavement so that the road can last longer. So there's a lot of construction going on, and the amount of people that we have on the road, it's unfortunate because a lot of people are not supposed to be on the road. The governor said that people should walk from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock and then go home. And then that's why we've staggered the market to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and then other businesses to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you can see that there's been a careful thought process in the whole, in the way we plan how people should move around during this period, so that we don't have this congestion that we're experiencing. But unfortunately, a lot of people are coming out. So there's a lot of congestion going. There's a lot of construction going on our road. We're trying to complete the roundabout, and then there's a lot of routine maintenance going on. So that is adding to the congestion, and that's because the capacity of the road has been reduced as a result of this construction. So that's why we're experiencing this. But I can assure you that by the time we finish the construction, by the time we finish the roundabout, by the time we finish filling all the potholes, we will not be experiencing what we're experiencing right now.
The Yanawuru project is one of the major expectations of water transportation option in Lagos. Are you still going ahead with that? And what is the status of that? The planned jetty in the Yanawuru?
The Yanawuru is something that was started in the last administration. Yes, we are going ahead. We are not abandoning any project, but most importantly, there are there are other projects around the Yanawuru that has to be completed. So all these things will be completed together, and then we'll begin to run ferries from Yanawuru, because that's a very strategic point, and I think it's important that we complete it.
I have a question from Victoria Suko. She's watching us live, and she says, "Why are you not making good use of this dry season to fix up our bad road in Lagos and relax work during rainy season?" Why I'm saying so is this: most time work is done during rainy season. Lagosians are faced with terrible traffic, which is not good enough for the citizen of Lagos State. Any comment on that? Maybe I should leave that on the screen.
Okay, we have started ramping up the construction, but during the time that we went on lockdown, even the Association of the Construction Workers said that they needed to protect their
I think the network. I'm
and
not sure if
how
it's from. Oh
this.
yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Okay,
I think I
do you
lost
have
you
me
for a
on now?
minute.
Okay,
Yes, I have you on
okay,
now.
sorry
Yes.
about that. Okay, so basically, the Association of the Construction Workers wanted to understand the dynamics of COVID before they let the workers out, also because they're human beings too. So, the first 2 3 weeks, nobody actually did anything. So, once we had a better knowledge of how this virus operates, we started, getting permits for construction workers to actually go on the road to finish their construction work. So yes, we lost about 3 to 4 weeks, but I think they're back on the road now. And during this partial lockdown, they work daytime, they work nighttime also. And we're hoping to finish before the full rainy season starts. But I understand where she's coming from. And but unfortunately, I mean, COVID came in. We didn't understand the dynamics of COVID. We needed to relax a bit, and because obviously the construction workers are human beings too. So
I
safety, I
think
mean, safety was of essence here.
there was also a question about touts. Is there no plan for the mainland? Because public transportation in this region seem real whack, and the increase of thugs and tout in this region is sickening. What are you doing to curb this?
Another beautiful question. So one thing I want to talk about for the next maybe 2 minutes is the bus reform, which we're doing. You see, one of the reasons why you have tout is because money exchange hands. But we are now bringing in this common ticketing system where the revenue goes to the back end, and then every operator gets what is due to them as well as the government. So we're trying to move the bus transport from an informal sector to the formal sector in such a way that, I mean, Lagos has been divided into 7 zones, and these 7 zones will be franchised to operators. And so very soon we will get rid of the yellow buses. And then what you will have is organized public transport where the operators will be regulated properly. And then the area boys will simply disappear. It's been a painful process. We've had to dialogue with them. We're not saying that the downfall drivers, etc., will be made unemployed. What we're saying is that they have to form a cooperative where it becomes an institution that we can regulate. So if you don't have a corporation that is registered, you cannot run public transport. So that's the plan that will be rolled out, and it's starting with the last mile. We're moving to the regular buses and then the BRT. So there will be a hierarchy of public transport. So basically, the rail and BRT will form the backbone of your network. The quality bus corridor will form your collectors, and then the last mile will form the network that will now take you to your residential areas or to your final place of work. So it's been well planned, it's been well structured, and it just needs to be executed perfectly. So very
Shegun
soon,
Ladapo,
area boys will be a thing of the past.
by God's grace. We have a question from Shegun Ladapo Oscar. It says, "What are you doing with the K2 garage that is abandoned?"
As we have said, we haven't abandoned any project. It's just that what we've done is re-strategize. The K2 project will be completed. We're looking at the current funding, and everything is done in stages. So we want to complete, for example, Oyingbo. We want to complete Yaba, then we go to Ojota, then we go to K2, etc. So everything will be completed. It's not been abandoned. It's just that we're refocusing in such a way that I mean we spend where we feel it's priority. K2 is priority. We will complete K2, but it is something that is in the pipeline. It's something that's not been abandoned at all.
Someone has sent me a question about enforcement. That the enforcement of your personnel, like the last man, the others, on transport matters, is not considerate to the circumstances that citizens are facing in their daily life. Do you have a comment about this?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're trying to upscale the enforcement process where we'll bring in technology. I think gone are the days where you have to apprehend people physically, especially with COVID too. So once we're able to place cameras around, and we're already doing that in Ikeja with the AMPL that we've installed there, and then we would have LASMA as well as various officials holding handheld cameras where they take evidence and they don't have to apprehend you. And what will simply happen is that you get a bill in your post, and we believe that this will be more effective and that would deter people more. But I mean, what we're having right now, especially when we have physical contact and then with the pressures out there, is a lot of compromise. But technology is going to take over very soon, and then we'll be able to address the issue on enforcement.
Someone said, are you going to consider odd and even number in managing traffic in Lagos State?
I think
the
the
odd
answer
and
is
even
no.
number. Someone, okay.
Yeah, I think the answer is no, because what people will simply do is buy another car, and then we're back to square one. I think the best thing that we're going to do is to upgrade our public transport system so that people have options. The reason why we're having this congestion is because people do not have good options. Once the rail is working, once the BLT starts working properly, water transport, and then people have the option of traveling with other modes of transport, we will try and reduce congestion. Odd and even numbers will simply increase the number of cars in Lagos State. It happened in the 70s and 80s, and it would happen again. So I don't think it's a solution to our problem right now.
So let's move away from the busy part of the work. Let's talk about some of the experience of the last 1 year. What was your wow moment? Or let me start with the favorite one. What was your reaction when you realized that you were going to be in the cabinet? What was your first reaction?
Well, it was like a dream. Because I didn't expect it. I know we worked hard. I know we talked about it, but when I was announced, it was like, wow. Okay, now that I've been announced, what next? But yeah, I mean, I can never forget that day when I saw my name on TV, and then the phone just went berserk. For the next 2 hours, it was just phone call upon phone calls.
Absolutely, and coming from the private sector, and you'd also worked in the UK. You were an advisor to the British Ministry of Transport back in the days, and helping to set up the transport plan for transport for London, and coming to work here in the Nigerian system. What would you say is the difference, and what are the disparities in the two systems, and what would you like to see better?
Well, the UK transport system is quite advanced. And so what we're simply doing was fine-tuning, okay, how can we make this better, focusing more on efficiencies. But back here, the network is not really developed. So everything that I learned in school, when I was practicing in the UK, it was like theory because everything was already there. So you were just fine-tuning, like they tell you, so how to install traffic lights, how to build a rail system, etc. But when I came to Nigeria, obviously the rail system, apart from NLC, is not there. So we had to start from scratch. And so everything that I learned in school started coming back to life, and what I've experienced is that any small effort you make here goes a long way compared to UK, where the system was quite developed. You have to do a lot for people to feel the impact. But here, because everything is still green, Everything is still much underdeveloped. So, for example, when we developed the fourth BRT, it was like a wild moment. Wow, what a concept. But when we were developing it, I remember people were abusing us, saying that these guys don't know what they're doing. But I mean, the impact, once we completed it, the impact was felt everywhere. And every community simply, I mean, contacted us saying that, look, we want a BLT in our community. When are you going to come to our community? So, yes, I think Nigeria is quite different. There's a lot to be done. You can make a huge difference here. Compared to the UK, where everything is already there.
I have a final question from the audience before I take my final question. I think that this question perhaps should be directed to the special advisor works, but let me present it to you since it's been asked of you. It says, please, the Kotu Road as well as the Yano Ejigbo Road is in a deplorable state. My emphasis is on the Yano Ejigbo Road into Ejigbo, which is not motorable when it rains. Will appreciate if it's looked into and added to the project that will be looked into. Thanks.
Let me remind you that we talked about it in the transition committee. It is also in the plan.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about it. So it's in the pipeline and they're looking into it. So I hope the special advisor works is listening to this. Or they can ask her when you have a next on your
coming on Wednesday tomorrow.
But it's definitely in the plan.
Absolutely. Honorable Commissioner, thank you for your time. Before I let you go, I want to get your final statement to Lagosian because the link to this video is going to be shared around on all social media platforms. And citizens are going to be hearing directly from you through that means as well. So what is your final word to Lagosian about traffic and transport management in the administration, both about what you have done in the past and the future?
Okay, in terms of what we've done right now, I want to say to Lagosians that the infrastructure that we're developing belongs to them. It's built with taxpayers' money. Let's protect it. Let's not destroy it. It's very important that we use it appropriately. The other one is to advise Lagosians to obey the traffic laws. You see, everybody can be in a hurry, but what happens is that everybody gets confused. There's a lot of congestion on the road because everybody's trying to get into the same space. So let us obey the traffic rules. Let's be calm on the road. Let's be patient, and we will all get to our final destination. So stick to obeying the traffic rules and then respect the infrastructure that the government is developing because the infrastructure belongs to them. It belongs to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Lagos State, Dr. Frederick Oladehinde, has been with us and talking about his vision for a greater Lagos and their programs and their plans, the timetable integration, the route integration, the location integration, the land use transport integration, and a lot of other ideas that they are working on, including the roundabout that is being converted into traffic light points, the mass transit system, the blue line and the red line, the regional road, the councillor's toll, the BLT, and many other great work that they're doing. Honorable Commissioner, thank you so much for your time out of this very busy schedule with all the pressure that you have in particular at this period. We wish you good luck in the next 1 year of this administration and pray that under your leadership in the transport sector, Lagos will be better for it. Thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Those who are watching on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram, we're very grateful. I want to say great appreciation also to Smirk, Mini, Mo. Thank you for all our friends and partners for making this possible. Have a great day, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you.